Welcome back to r/neighbors from hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. The first one is titled "Neighbors Trespassed on My Beach and Had Drug-Fueled Parties on My Private Property." I am a little worried from the title that some of you might be immediately running down to the comments to write about how I cannot possibly own a beach because it is public property and things like that. I just want to make it clear off the bat that it is not like my house has some ocean view and I consider the beach that is close to my house only for my use or something. The total opposite actually, where I bought a house that is near some woods and at the back is an area of sand that people here call the beach since there's no actual coastline that leads to a lake. Now, I also want to make a point that I don't think the lake is mine, but the part of the sand that is on my property technically is, and people tend to take advantage of that. Maybe if the only thing people were doing was quickly cutting through to get to the water, that would be fine. I get that it is in a weird spot and they might not want to go all the way around through dense trees. I don't like having to trek either, so for that I at least understood, but the majority of people did not do that. They would set up their things right on my property, and at first I assumed they just did not know that anyone moved in or even owned it. Despite not really being a confrontational person, I started telling people, and to be honest, most people understood and just did not know where the line was. I live alone and in a new place, so I really did not feel comfortable with people on my property. The real issue though happened when a certain group of neighbors decided that they were going to use my property at night like they owned the entire lake and everywhere around it. Now, these were not the sit around a campfire, tell stories and drink a few beers type of parties. I know this because when the loud music and fire made me realize what was going on, I walked over to talk to them like I had everyone else. I would normally post a conversation, but that is too hard in this case because very little of what I was hearing was not just gibberish. These people were not drunk, no, they were on drugs. And I don't mean they were getting a little high, I mean like certain types of pipes and even needles kind of high. They were having a crazy drug party and it took me a good while to finally get them off my property. I did recognize one guy though as living a few houses away, meaning about a mile, and I decided that when he was sober I would go and speak to him. So the next day I went to his house and I swear 1 second after I knocked, the door was opened and he was staring at me like he was waiting. "Neighbor, what do you want?" Me, "I just wanted to talk to you about last night." Neighbor, "Yeah, you totally kicked me off the beach when you had no right to." Me, "Actually that area is my private property and I don't want people there in general, especially people doing drugs and acting crazy." I guess this was the wrong thing to say because he just started yelling, "How dare I accuse him of doing drugs and who do I think I am?" Of course, mixed with a lot of cursing and truthfully disgusting insults I would rather not repeat even in the written form. A few days later the party happened again and it was clear that neighbor was not going anywhere and I needed to figure out what I was going to do. There was no way I could let it keep going on, not only in the sense that I did not want them on my property, but I had a bad feeling that them doing drugs on my property could somehow end with me getting in trouble. I knew that I needed to be sneaky since speaking to them just was not working. I know that I might have been able to just call the police, but I had no proof, and where I live it would take hours for them to show up for something like drug use if they showed up at all. They did not even have a large department and there were bigger emergencies anyway. I thought about building a fence, but due to the shape and the lake, building a fence would have created a pretty unsafe area on the other side. I knew that I was going to have to get rid of them on my own, and clearly bluntly talking to them was not going to do it. My next step was that I got a camera with a really good zoom feature and I set it up and pointed it right near the spot they always seem to have a drug party at. Only a couple days later they showed up and started their usual routine. Making a fire that was used for not so good purposes, sit down and start drinking and doing drugs. Only this time everything was being recorded with the camera and they had no idea it was happening. There was also no doubting what they were doing because they did not even try to hide it a little bit. It was like they did not care because they thought there was never any way that they could possibly get caught. Well, the next morning I was able to download the footage and make many copies of it just in case. Now it was time for the second part of my plan, and honestly, the part that I was hoping would be the end. Since neighbors live far apart, we tend to always have each other's numbers even if we are not close, just in case of an emergency. Due to this fact, even though I am new in the area, I managed to get a few numbers, including neighbors. I did not really feel like having round 2 of getting yelled at on his porch, so this way I was able to draft a simple message. I sent him a little preview video that showed him very clearly doing drugs on my property. Then I sent him a message saying how if I ever saw him or any of his friends coming on my property again for any reason, drugs or otherwise, I would send the video to the police. While they cannot come unless it is an emergency, I could technically give it to them and then they would eventually get around to confronting the neighbor and all of his friends. I am a man of my word though, and I really was not going to do that if they never showed up on my property again. It might be weird to some of you, but I just did not want to be known as the guy that moved in and then got a bunch of people that they knew for years arrested. If he wanted to do those shenanigans in his own house, I really could not care less, but I just did not want it happening on my property in the middle of the night. Also, he did not ever actually respond to me, but I did notice that magically the party stopped, so I guess he was scared of what I might actually do if he continued. I get the occasional dirty look when I run into him, but we have not actually exchanged words since then, and I don't mind. As long as he stays off my property with his crazy beach drug parties, I don't really care if I know of his existence or not. And yeah, Ripe Stars, I would love to know if you would have been in OP's shoes in this story, would you have reacted the same? Would you have also not sent the incriminating evidence, aka the videos, to the police? Please let us know in the comments. And by the way, while you're at it, I would really appreciate it if you could also post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support me. Thank you so much in advance. And the next ones are gonna be a bunch of malicious compliance stories that I'm pretty sure you have not seen before. This one is titled Malicious Customer Compliance. The best example of malicious compliance I've ever seen was from a colleague of mine, let's call him V. At the time I was new and learning the ropes, so I was shadowing him. We were on customer service. Every so often we would get a customer that would not believe we had done all we could and demand to see a manager. There was one manager that never came out of the office except to go to lunch or the loo. He happened to be the only one on duty when a customer demanded to see a manager. So V went into the office and told him, and he did what he always did. Told V to go back out, tell the customer that it had been discussed with the manager and that the decision stands. The customer would not leave, and so V went back one more time and said he really needed the manager to come out to the desk for just a minute. The manager lost his temper and told V to tell the customer to F off. He has done this before knowing no one would dare to say that to the customer, so he was just making it plain he would not help and they would have to get rid of the customer themselves. They would usually say things like, he is in a conference call and won't be done for an hour, etc. This time V either stopped caring or realized that I had witnessed the whole exchange and could back him up. V went out to the desk and said, I'm very sorry, but the manager has told me to tell you to F off. The look on V's face was priceless. You would believe he had been browbeaten in being rude to the customer. The customer took it very calmly, asked for the manager's name and the address and phone number for the head office. A couple of days later we get called into the office and the area manager and route manager were in there. They asked me to step out and I learned afterwards that they were asking V what happened and did not want me there because they wanted to see if our stories differed. V came out and sent me in. I told them what I saw, which confirmed V's account, and the route manager got a warning. He still never came out of the office after that, but he never instructed anyone to tell a customer to F off again. And Ripe Stars, if you enjoy stories about malicious compliance, then please feel free to let me know in the comments and I might continue with more of those stories. And the next one is another malicious compliance story, and it is titled Customer Was Concerned. I used to be a pool technician. Part of my weekly service route included a local historical mansion. No one lived in the actual mansion as it was used for tours and stuff, but the groundskeeper lived on site in a maintenance shed converted into a house. She was different. She believed in holistic medicine and performed seances. And by the way, Ripe Stars, please correct me if I'm wrong, but a seance is, as far as I know, something like a ceremony or ritual where people try to talk to dead people. However, please correct me if I'm wrong if I am completely off track here. Anyway, she also had a pet turtle that she liked to let swim around in the pool. The pool itself was a match for the house. Old, ugly and ginormous. Being that it was old and did not have the best filtration system, and that somehow in a huge meticulously maintained garden, this pool had zero shade, it required a good deal of chlorine to keep the water clear. I honestly hated dealing with this place because everything there was inconvenient. So summer came around, it is getting crazy hot, so the groundskeeper lady decides she wants to let her pet turtle go for a dip in the pool to beat the heat. No problem, I guess. The turtle looks kind of cute swimming around in the pool while I school stuff out of it. I go ask the groundskeeper what she wants me to do with her pet while I add chemicals, and she asks me not to add anything so as to not hurt him. Also not a problem, I will just leave a case of chlorine so she can add it when her turtle is finished. I come back the following week and the case of chlorine is still full. Cue me explaining to her that if she does not add the chemicals, this 100,000 plus gallon pool is gonna turn green. She tells me she does not want to add chemicals because it is bad for her garden and the pool, and that she can deal with the pool turning a little murky. So I cover my own ass by leaving her with another case of chlorine and some acid and instructions of when to add the chemicals. Come back the following week, the weather has gotten hotter and this pool is getting pretty murky. I added some water clarifier when the groundskeeper was not looking and left her with yet another case. They are piling up at this point, and she is billed for each ounce of chemical I leave her and go on my way. So I come back the final week, the pool is straight green. I cannot even see past the surface of the water, it is bad. I set my stuff down and go knock on the groundskeeper's doors. She opens it in a huff saying, Yeah, I know, add the chemicals. My response, actually ma'am, I've come to let you know that I cannot work on this pool anymore. Our service contract explicitly states that we do not service green pools. If you would like, you can call our dispatch number and they will set me up with an appointment to come out and give you a quote for clearing out this algae. Due to the age and size of this pool, you will be looking at a minimum of 20 hours of labor at $90 an hour. I made sure to document every interaction I had with her and let my boss know every action I took with that client, just so she would not be able to turn it around on me when her bosses see the $2,500 bill she racked up because she wanted to let her turtle swim in their pool. And yeah, Ripe Stars, if there's one thing that I really despise, it is wise guys, or smartasses, or whatever you call it. To me, that is one of the most annoying personality traits you can have. Sometimes it honestly drives me crazy, and I'm not really a guy that usually freaks out, but some people can really make me rage with that. The next one is titled, I am not paying for that. First time posting on mobile, wish me luck. I work in a computer repair shop that also does computer upgrades. Our labor fees are $15 per 30 minutes, minimum of 1 hour, so a minimum of $30 for labor. This is in addition to any price of parts and such. A few weeks ago, I had a customer come in who wanted to upgrade the RAM in his computer from 2 GB to 4. I quoted him the price for the part and labor, he agreed, signed the liability waiver and told him it would be ready tomorrow. Had a large queue of other computers to work on, fast forward to the next day, he shows up and I tell him his total. I will be me, he will be CS for cheapskate. CS, what is this extra $30 for? Me, that's the labor cost for installation. I had explained it yesterday while giving you the quote. CS, I'm not paying $30 for you to press a few buttons. Take out the new stuff. I am taking my business somewhere else where they don't charge outrageous fees. For those not in computer repair, that's a totally reasonable labor fee. Me a bit peeved at this point. Yes sir, will take about 5 minutes. I proceed to remove the 2x2 GB RAM sticks and grab his old 2x1 sticks from our temporary storage. I close up the case and head out to face him. I hand him his computer while he is glaring at me. Then I pull out the anti-static bag holding his RAM and place it on the counter, with the sticks on top of the bag, and just look at him, CS. And what are these? I'm not paying your stupid labor fees. Me, this is your old RAM. I removed the new ones, and since you're not paying any labor fees, I'm not putting them back in. He proceeds to glare at me and reaches to grab the entire bag, not just the sticks. Me, oh no sir, the bag is ours, only the RAM is yours. He proceeds to palm the RAM, possibly damaging it, and walks out. If looks could kill. The next one is titled, Your problem will be resolved quickly. I work as an engineer and my job is split between two responsibilities. Number 1, pre-plan future work. Number 2, resolve various deficiencies during work execution that mechanics bring to me. The problem may be due to unsatisfactory material, incompetence or bad engineering. 90% of the time the solutions to the deficiencies are simple clarifications. The component is positioned in this manner. Or, did you read the notes engineering has provided you? My 2 co-workers and I are part of a satellite office right by the worksite. We have a great working relationship with the usual mechanics. We normally go out of our way to help them succeed since they actually turn the wrenches to get the job done. But then there is Kennedy. He is an underachiever who will try to find every little mistake on our paper in an attempt to kill the job and get paid to sit around while engineering fixes the errors found. Once he said that our wording was confusing, we said, install the component. I digress. One beautiful rainy day, Kennedy comes into our office and says he needs me to go look at the job site. Supposedly, there is something wrong and they cannot fix the issue. I dutifully don my PPA and rain suit and go to the job site. After spending 20 minutes getting soaked looking for an issue, Kennedy tells me that he was joking and just wanted to get the engineers off of their ass in their dry office and enjoy the weather. 2 weeks later, Kennedy looks visibly shaken up. Apparently, his job-killing ways have made it up to management and they issued him a final warning to get the work done and stop wasting money through inaction. They assigned him to a simple task which would take the better part of a shift. The task is simple and completed frequently. Historically, no deficiencies are reported when accomplishing this particular task, but the karma train pulled into the station something fierce. The tool required to accomplish the task is missing and he needs to report to engineering that he needs a replacement. He comes into the office asking for a miracle and I tell him that per our operations manual we can take up to 3 days to resolve his issue. Since it was a Thursday, he would have to wait till closing of business Tuesday for an official resolution. Little did he know that a replacement tool was in our office and had he asked nicely, we would have straight away given it to him. Today someone is visiting me for my work. And of course, maybe that someone also wants to say a little meow for the Rapstar community. Yeah, Disney, she's just very active nowadays. Sometimes she also likes to sleep a lot for sure. But yeah, I usually tend to avoid having too many toys in my own room because she's supposed to be in her room, but there are a lot of toys. Because I cannot really be with her too much when I'm recording. She's more with my girlfriend because my girlfriend, her work is at the moment, because of the pandemic, it's pretty much only like online meetings and stuff. So she can take better care of Disney, at least during the couple of days when I record during the week, which is like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's when I'm recording. And after that, I take more care of Disney. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear the purring on the recording, but it's very cute, right, Disney? I'm curious, guys, is your cat's nose also this cold? Like, it's really like to touch it because it's so cold. Yeah, she's such a cutie. And ripe stars, with this we have reached the end of the video. However, if you still cannot get enough of my content, then I would highly suggest to check out my endless binge watch playlist, which will soon show up in the left corner of the screen. In addition, I would really appreciate it if you could not only subscribe to the channel but also turn on the bell notifications, which you can do by clicking on the little bell icon right next to the subscribe button. This will help my channel tremendously, and this will make sure that you don't miss any of my videos. Furthermore, if you want to see additional ripe content that I don't post on YouTube, then I would suggest to head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube for more than 50 exclusive videos that you will not see anywhere else. Thank you so much for your amazing daily support, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.